Imagine this. It's a cold morning, but you don't feel it. Your thermostat has already adjusted the temperature. You wake without an alarm. Your bed is perfectly contoured, your sheets warm, the world outside muffled. Coffee waits at the push of a button. Entertainment streams endlessly. Food arrives without effort. And yet, beneath all this ease, a quiet unease hums like static. You feel safe, but not alive. Comfortable, but not awake. When was the last time you felt the sharp edge of hunger, the trembling rush of risk, the strange, almost holy ache of effort that burns the old version of you away and forces you to become something more? You can't remember, because somewhere along the way, without even realizing it, you traded your wildness for warmth, your freedom for convenience, your potential for comfort. Comfort doesn't announce itself like a tyrant. It doesn't chain your wrists or lock your door. It lulls you. It whispers, "Why suffer? Why push? Why bleed when you could simply relax?" And you listen, because who wouldn't? After all, what could be wrong with feeling good? What could be dangerous about ease? But ask yourself, if comfort is so harmless, why do so many lives feel quietly suffocated by it? Why do the boldest dreams wither in its warmth? Why do the greatest stories of transformation always begin the same way? Someone steps out of comfort and into the unknown. We live in an age where suffering has been engineered out of existence, or so we're told. Our ancestors fought wars, braved storms, hunted for food. We tap screens. They faced the raw, unfiltered violence of reality. We swipe and scroll through simulations of life. By every measurable standard, we are safer, healthier, and more advanced than any generation before us. And yet, why are we also more restless, more medicated, more haunted by a quiet, gnawing emptiness we can't name? Could it be that what we call progress is not progress at all, but a gentle sedation? Here is the deal comfort makes with you. It will protect you from pain, real pain, the kind that tears muscle and tests willpower, the kind that burns away weakness. But in return, it will also protect you from growth. You will not climb. You will not risk. You will not fall or rise or break or rebuild. You will simply maintain. You will be safe, but small. Content, but hollow. Numb, but never truly free. And the worst part? You won't even notice it happening. Because comfort doesn't kill you all at once, it kills you so slowly that you mistake it for peace. So what if the very thing we chase the hardest, security, convenience, relief, is the same thing quietly strangling us? And what if every step toward comfort is a step away from the edge where life actually begins? And what if our fear of discomfort isn't just a personal weakness, but a cultural disease? Look at the world. We worship productivity tools that spare us effort. We glorify lifestyles that remove all friction. We medicate every sharp edge of human feeling. But what if friction was never the enemy? What if pain, discipline, and struggle were not obstacles to life, but its raw material? And if that's true, then what are we becoming now that we've built a world almost entirely designed to protect us from them? Imagine this. You wake up one day
and realize the thing you thought was saving you was slowly erasing you. And you wonder, if comfort is the new cage, who profits from keeping you inside it? And what happens to the human spirit when it forgets how to fight its way out of it? The answer, as unsettling as it is, begins with a hidden truth buried deep in psychology, philosophy, and history. A truth so disturbing, we've collectively learned to ignore it. And once you see it, you can never unsee it.
Comfort feels harmless because it doesn't crash down on you. It seeps in. It seeps through habits, culture, and even language until you no longer recognize it as a force at all. But philosophers and psychologists have long warned us, what you cannot see has the greatest power over you. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the hidden parts of the psyche we refuse to confront. But what happens when an entire society represses the very instincts that forged human greatness? Struggle, endurance, and risk. You don't just get individuals in denial. You get a civilization addicted to comfort. Friedrich Nietzsche saw it coming. He wrote of the last man, a creature born at the end of history. A human so domesticated by comfort that he loses all hunger for transcendence. The last man does not suffer. He does not strive. He does not dare. He sits in his warmth, blinks in his safety, and says, "We have invented happiness." And yet Nietzsche warned that this happiness was not life, it was sedation. For what is a human being without the mountain to climb, without the dragon to slay, without the possibility of transformation? He knew the cost of comfort wasn't simply boredom, it was the death of becoming. But Nietzsche's last man wasn't just a metaphor. Modern psychology proves him right. When the brain is deprived of meaningful challenge, it does something terrifying. It begins to atrophy. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire and grow, depends on friction. Stress, resistance, and effort are not enemies. They are the very triggers for expansion. Remove them, and the mind retreats into patterns of autopilot. You stop seeking. You stop questioning. You begin, without realizing it, to live the same day over and over again. Comfort doesn't just weaken the body, it starves the psyche. This is why so many people surrounded by abundance still feel hollow. It is not because they lack pleasure, it is because pleasure without challenge is empty. Arthur Schopenhauer went even deeper. He argued that human life is driven by the will, a restless, unquenchable force that compels us to strive. To exist, he said, is to wrestle endlessly between desire and fulfillment, between pain and relief. But in a world that worships comfort, the will is not engaged, it is tranquilized. We numb it with endless entertainment, with food, with distractions, with the dopamine trickle of screens. And yet, the will does not die quietly. Suppressed, it turns inward. It becomes anxiety. It becomes a restless dissatisfaction we cannot explain. We think we are relaxing, but in truth, we are suffocating under the weight of a desire we've been trained to ignore. This is no accident. Aldous Huxley, in Brave New World, imagined the society where control was not enforced by violence, but by pleasure. People were pacified not by fear, but by comfort, by a drug called soma that erased discomfort and made rebellion unthinkable. Look around. Do we not already live in that world? Our soma is not a pill. It is convenience. It is instant gratification. It is the promise that you will never have to suffer, never have to strain, never have to confront the rawness of life. But if you never confront the rawness of life, How can you ever feel truly alive? Viktor Frankl, who survived the horrors of Auschwitz, wrote that humans do not find meaning in comfort, they find it in struggle. Meaning arises not when life is easy, but when it demands something from us, when it forces us to step into a version of ourselves we didn't know existed. And yet, in our world, the very conditions for meaning have been quietly erased. We are shielded from hardship, medicated against pain, and rewarded for compliance with shallow pleasures. We have built a society that is, in many ways, perfectly designed to keep us from ever waking up. So here it is, stripped bare. Our addiction to comfort is not a personal failing. It is the natural outcome of a world that thrives on keeping us dependent. Because comfort is profitable. Discomfort is not. When you are comfortable, you are predictable. When you are comfortable, you consume. When you are comfortable, you do not ask dangerous questions about what else your life could be. And that is precisely how the machinery of modern society wants it. But here's the darker truth. It's not just your choices comfort is stealing. It's your identity, your potential, the raw, untamed force inside you that evolution built through millennia of hunger, danger, and trial. And unless you confront it, unless you step outside the velvet prison, you will never even realize what has been taken from you. But if you do, you will see something the world has gone blind to. And it begins with the cost. The cost we pay for staying comfortable.
Comfort is not neutral. It rewires you, not all at once, but in imperceptible increments. Every skipped challenge, every avoided risk, every moment of artificial ease teaches the brain a single, devastating lesson. This is enough. Stay here. But here's the paradox. The human mind was not built for fear. It was built for movement, for striving, for becoming. When comfort locks you in place, it doesn't merely pause your growth, it quietly reverses it. At first, you don't notice. You feel fine. Life is steady, predictable. You convince yourself this is what happiness is supposed to feel like. But deep down, you sense something shrinking. Your ambitions, once sharp, become unrealistic. Your curiosity dulls. You trade dreams for distractions, purpose for pleasure, transformation for stability. It's not failure that kills most people. It's this slow, silent settling. Neuroscience has a term for it: hedonic adaptation. The brain, when repeatedly exposed to comfort, stops registering it as reward. You need more of it to feel less alive. This is why endless streaming, scrolling, and snacking never satisfy for long. Comfort expands like a drug tolerance. The more you consume, the more it consumes you. And then something worse happens. When discomfort finally arrives, as it inevitably does, you find yourself unprepared. The breakup, the illness, the job loss, the world no longer bending to your will. Resilience is not built in comfort. It is built in friction. When you live without friction, you do not become peaceful. You become fragile. This is why anxiety and depression have exploded in an era where suffering has been reduced. Because comfort does not teach you how to endure. It teaches you how to escape. And when you can no longer escape, you shatter. This isn't just personal, it's civilizational. Look around. We have mistaken convenience for progress. We have replaced rites of passage with participation trophies. We have traded genuine mastery for the illusion of life hacks.
We have built cities and technologies that eliminate every sharp edge until even the smallest challenge feels intolerable. And so, entire generations are being raised not to confront life, but to manage it, to seek sedation instead of transcendence. Aldous Huxley once wrote, "The supreme value is not truth, but comfort." He meant it as a warning. We have turned it into a blueprint. This is the cruelest part. Comfort does not just rob you of your strength. It rewrites what you want. When your nervous system adapts to constant ease, it stops craving the unknown and starts fearing it. Discomfort becomes a threat, not a teacher. Challenge begins to feel like pain, and pain feels like failure. You may call it realism. You may call it maturity. But what it really is domestication. You were once a creature of fire and hunger. Now you are taught to fear your own instincts, to distrust the very impulses that once drove our species to climb out of the dark. And the world applauds you for it, because a numbed, tamed human is the perfect consumer. But the price is staggering. The addiction to comfort doesn't just keep you where you are. It accelerates entropy. You stop learning. You stop risking. Your identity narrows until it fits neatly inside the routines you never question. And then one day, maybe at 30, maybe at 60, you look back and realize something haunting. You didn't really live. You maintained. You floated through years like a ghost in your own story, lulled by the soft hum of comfort until every spark inside you went out. And the most terrifying part? You never even saw it happening. This is why so many people, at some point, feel the strange urge to destroy their own stability. They quit safe jobs. They leave good relationships. They run ultramarathons or climb mountains or throw themselves into something reckless. They are not insane. They are starving. Deep down, they are trying to wake themselves up from the anesthesia of comfort, because if they don't, they will die long before they're buried. So now the question sharpens into something undeniable. If comfort is killing our potential, and if society is built to keep us addicted to it, what is the way out? How do you rebel against a prison you can no longer see? The answer is not what you've been told. It is not about motivation or discipline or chasing more empty goals. The way out begins with a far more radical act. You must relearn how to suffer on purpose.
If comfort is the silent cage, then the first act of rebellion is not escape. It is awakening. You must see the bars for what they are. You must recognize that what you call safety has been quietly trading pieces of your potential for the illusion of peace. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. This is the moment the war begins. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." We have reduced this to a cliché, but it was never meant to be one. It was an instruction. Nietzsche understood that strength is not found in comfort. It is forged in resistance. To break free, you must seek resistance deliberately, not recklessly, but with intention. Wake up earlier than is comfortable. Lift weights until your muscles burn. Sit in silence without a screen to distract you. Take cold showers that make your body revolt. These are not punishments. They are reminders. Each one is a signal to the mind. We do not fear discomfort. We use it. Your nervous system adapts to what you feed it. Feed it challenge, and the fear of challenge dies. If comfort sedates, then you must starve the sedatives. Look at your daily life and ask yourself, where am I hiding from reality? Is it the endless scroll, the constant snacking, the compulsive checking of notifications? These are not small habits, they are neural chains. Arthur Schopenhauer believed that most people do not truly live, they merely oscillate between pain and the avoidance of pain. And yet, he also suggested that liberation comes not from indulging pleasure, but from mastering it. This is why rebellion begins with subtraction. Remove what numbs you. Reduce the easy dopamine hits that keep your brain tranquilized. When you strip away these crutches, the world sharpens. Your mind, unmedicated by distraction, begins to ache with hunger. That ache is not a curse. It is the return of your will. Here is the paradox that terrifies modern culture. Suffering chosen freely is not suffering. It is freedom. Viktor Frankl discovered this truth in the death camps of Auschwitz. Even in the face of unimaginable horror, he wrote, "Man is not destroyed by suffering. He is destroyed by suffering without meaning." When you deliberately seek discomfort, whether through training, fasting, risk-taking, or hard, unglamorous work, you transmute it. It ceases to be punishment and becomes initiation. Every deliberate hardship says, "I will not be softened. I will not be domesticated. I will not live like the last man blinking under the glow of his safe little world." This is the alchemy of rebellion. You do not flee pain, you weaponize it. Here is the deeper truth. Comfort does not merely protect you from pain. It protects you from greatness. Because to live greatly is to risk humiliation, rejection, and failure. It is to climb mountains you may not reach the top of. It is to live in a state of perpetual becoming, always unfinished, always exposed to the raw elements of existence. Jean-Paul Sartre once wrote that we are condemned to be free. Most people do not want this freedom. They want comfort dressed as freedom, a life without risk. But if you want to reclaim what comfort has stolen from you, you must be willing to be dangerous again, not to others, but to the quiet, obedient version of yourself that society has trained you to be. True rebellion is not a single act. It is a way of living. Train daily to resist the pull of the soft path. Read the books that challenge you. Pursue work that terrifies you. Put yourself in rooms where you are the smallest and hungriest person there. And most of all, stop waiting to feel ready. Read history. None of the men and women who reshaped the world, Nietzsche, Frankl, Huxley, Jung, were comfortable. They bled for their ideas. They broke themselves against the edges of existence. And in that breaking, they discovered what the rest of the world never will. Comfort may give you peace, but discomfort gives you power. Freedom is not the absence of struggle. It is the ability to choose it. When you deliberately walk into the fire, when you make discomfort your ally, you become untouchable. The world cannot bribe you with ease because you no longer worship it. This is the quiet, dangerous truth that every great mind in history has known. You are not here to be comfortable. You are here to evolve. And evolution is never painless.
But here is the final, unsettling question. If comfort is the silent killer and discomfort is the cure, what lies beyond the cure? What happens when you stop living like the last man and step into the version of yourself comfort was designed to keep you from ever meeting? That answer is not survival. It is something far more terrifying and far more extraordinary. And it will change everything you believe about who you are.
Imagine for a moment that you stripped comfort from your life. Not recklessly, but intentionally. The screens quiet, the endless distractions vanish, the numbing indulgences dissolve. You are left alone with yourself. No filters, no sedation, no escape. At first it is unbearable. Your mind screams for distraction. Your body aches for the familiar. Every instinct cries out, "Go back to comfort. It was safe there." But if you endure, something happens. The noise begins to fade. And for the first time in years, perhaps in your entire life, you hear it. The raw, unfiltered sound of your own will. Beneath the layers of comfort, there is someone you've forgotten, a creature of hunger, a being forged by fire and tension, the version of you evolution intended before society wrapped you in pillows and screens. This is why comfort feels so hollow, because it suffocates the very thing that makes you feel alive, your capacity to become something greater than you are. Carl Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming your true self. But comfort does not want individuation. It wants conformity. It wants you safe, small, predictable. And yet here is the great paradox. The moment you stop worshiping comfort, the self that comfort buried begins to awaken. The truth no one tells you is that discomfort is not the enemy. It is the teacher. It is the threshold. Nietzsche understood this when he wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star." Chaos is not destruction, it is creation. Every time you lean into discomfort, every time you face something that terrifies you, you are not merely suffering, you are forging the conditions for transformation. This is why those who run from discomfort live shallow lives. They are not spared from suffering. They are only spared from growth. But those who embrace it discover the secret. The discomfort was never there to break you. It was there to introduce you to yourself. In this light, Nietzsche's Last Man is not a prophecy. It is a warning. The last man dies without ever meeting who he could have been. He dies surrounded by comfort, by ease, by the illusion of a life well lived, never knowing that he traded transcendence for sedation. But you do not have to die as him. You can die climbing. You can die hungry. You can die in pursuit of something so vast and terrifying that it rips you out of the smallness comfort has built around you. And in that, there is a strange kind of immortality, because the ones who dare to live this way are the ones who leave something behind. Here is the final realization, the one most people will never reach. Comfort was never safety. Comfort was a slow, beautiful kind of death. You do not need more pleasure. You do not need more convenience. You need more friction, more struggle, more encounters with the raw edges of life that carve you into something unrecognizable to the person you are now. Only then will you understand the purpose of life was never to feel safe. It was to feel alive. And aliveness is not warm, soft, or easy. It is jagged. It is demanding. It is the kind of thing that makes you tremble and ache like a madman at the sheer audacity of existing at all. When you reclaim discomfort, you reclaim freedom. Freedom from the cultural machinery that feeds on your sedation. Freedom from the hollow promises of a painless life. Freedom from the small, quiet death that comes from living in the walls of comfort. You stop being managed. You stop being predictable. You stop being a citizen of the last man's world and become something far older and far wilder, a human being the way nature intended, dangerous, curious, alive. And in that moment, you will see that comfort was never the prize. It was the trap. So now the question is no longer, how do I stay safe? The question is, how much discomfort am I willing to endure in order to meet the person I was meant to be? Because make no mistake, your potential lives on the other side of that threshold, not in comfort, not in the predictable little rituals of a numbed existence, but in the trembling, raw, beautiful space where you abandon everything that makes you feel safe and walk willingly into the fire. One day you will look back at this moment and realize that this choice to rebel against comfort was the quiet revolution that changed everything. You will not remember the nights you were comfortable. You will not remember the hours you were safe. You will remember the battles, the climbs, the burns, the moments that made you feel the blood in your veins and reminded you that you were never meant to be tame. So step outside the cage, because comfort will not mourn you when you're gone, but the fire you awaken in yourself will burn until the end of time. Imagine this. You are standing at the edge of everything you've ever known. Behind you lies the soft, quiet prison of comfort, a life so safe it almost erased you. Ahead of you there is only fire. Most will turn back. Most always do. They will return to the glow of their screens, the lull of easy pleasures, the silent sleepwalk of a life half lived. They will call it peace. But you take one step forward, and in that step you feel it. The shock of cold air, the sting of uncertainty, the terrifying freedom of a life no longer padded with false security. Your heart pounds not from fear, but from recognition. This is what it means to be alive. Because you were not born to be comfortable. You were born to wrestle with existence, to bleed for what matters, to transform suffering into strength and longing into greatness. Comfort will beg you to come back. It will whisper that it loves you, but it is not love, it is sedation. And sedation has stolen enough of your life already. So burn the bridge. Walk into the wilderness. Break yourself against the raw edges of becoming and watch the person you were meant to be rise from the ashes. One day the world will call you reckless, but deep down they will know the truth. You were simply the one who refused to die in your sleep. And that is how legends are born.